Hi there, Elise Dewsberry here from New Musicals Inc. with another one of my video blogs on how to avoid feedback from Elise. And today I want to talk about the value of overwriting. In particular, the value of overwriting your first draft. This is something I often recommend to writers, and I just wanted to talk for a brief moment about why I suggest that. When you're writing the first draft of your musical, I often have book writers ask me, how long should it be? Should it be 80 pages? Should it be 100? Should it be 120? And I would encourage you when you're writing your first draft not to worry too much about that. First of all, there's going to be plenty of time later for editing when you get feedback from people. But more importantly, when you're writing that first draft, and let me be clear that I advocate that you write a first draft, or what I often call a rough draft, where you write the show without songs first to act as a song spotting tool for the team to go back and then write songs later. And that is the draft that I recommend, that there's no problem at all with overwriting it. Why? Because you accomplish several things with the writing of this rough draft. You are exploring the voice of your character, which is really important because sometimes it takes a while to really get into the rhythms of each of the different characters and how they're different from each other and how they express themselves. So there's nothing wrong with overwriting that a bit as you're exploring that. And you're exploring, of course, the details of the story and how everything is working. So that's all really important. But back to the idea of exploring the voice of your character. What you're doing by exploring the voice of your character, not only are you finding that voice as a book writer for the dialogue for that character, but you are providing fodder for the lyricist, whether that's the same person as the book writer or a different part of the writing team. The way that the book writer writes the dialogue for the character in that early draft really speaks volumes to the lyricist about what can eventually become lyrics. What is the voice of that character? What is their diction? How can that be translated into songs? A number of years ago, we were lucky enough here at New Musicals Inc. to host a seminar with Stephen Sondheim. He happened to be in town and he agreed to come and speak to our membership. And we were able to ask him some questions and hear what he had to say. And one of the questions that came up, someone asked him what his working relationship was with his book writer. When did he start writing lyrics? And he was extremely clear. He said he never writes a lyric for a character until the book writer has established the voice of that character. So he's also adhering to the idea that I really, really appreciate, which is that the book writer really needs to create that voice first, and then the lyricist can take it from there and extrapolate on it and go further with it. But that's the genesis of the voice of the character, their diction. What vernacular do they use? What regionalisms do they use? What metaphoric world do they live in? What special quirks do they have that makes that character really unique? And so that's why I think that you can't worry too much about how much dialogue you write in that initial rough draft, because it's all going to be fodder for that. And yes, the lyricist is going to steal some of it and use it for their songs, but you have a chance later to go back then and trim it back, find what's really important, what really reveals your character, what is not already going to be covered in a song, and what is going to move the plot forward and is going to wind up being very important, but is going to be in the voice of your character. So don't rein yourself in when you're exploring that in your rough draft or your very early first draft. Go ahead and overwrite and worry about thinning all that back later. That is my advice to you. Go ahead and overwrite. So that's it for today, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo.